If the stock market is roaring back like it is today, Bitcoin's going to go higher. Bitcoin having a good surge. Yesterday, when the markets were selling off, it was risk off on Bitcoin. Bitcoin fell to 48,500-ish. It's back up above that. It's approaching 52,000. We're unconfirmed, but right now it looks like we could confirm today the breakout above this level. The only issue here is that we ultimately have another resistance point that I'm paying close attention to.
Gareth will provide insights on Bitcoin's recent breakthrough above a long-term trend line, highlighting the looming resistance point at $52,500 and how market dynamics could influence its trajectory. He'll also discuss Ethereum's struggle against the critical resistance level of $2,775 and how approval of a spot Bitcoin ETF could propel it towards $3,000. Additionally, Gareth will analyze Cardano's breakout from a downward sloping trend line, noting short-term resistance around 57 cents to 58 cents, and assess gold's short-term weakness against its long-term bullish outlook. Join Gareth in this interview as he delves into these topics and more.
Please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to drop your comment and observations in the comment section below. Thanks and enjoy the video.
All right, guys, we are back. So we're going to look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin having a good surge. Yesterday, when the markets were selling off, it was risk off on Bitcoin. Bitcoin fell to 48,500-ish. It's back up above that. It's approaching 52,000. All right, so we're going to take a look at what the chart is telling us here. I want to just quickly draw a couple trend lines before we jump over to the chart, because I do have some levels to watch. All right, so the first level, and again, it's basically upwards of the 52,000 level. Okay, and again, just take me a second here to draw this in and drag it across, but I'll show you where I expect Bitcoin to run into some resistance. All right, follow me back to the chart here. What we see is this was that longer-term upsloping trend line. We are now above it. Granted, we are unconfirmed at this point. So again, just keep that in mind. We're unconfirmed, but right now it looks like we could confirm today the breakout above this level. The only issue here is that we ultimately have another resistance point that I'm paying close attention to right here. We can see a high pivot here and a high pivot right there. And again, that line, if you put it right through, is just around 52,500. So again, that'll be a level that I am watching very closely if we can get through that or if we stall out. Again, I hate to say it. I know the crypto maxis don't want to hear this, but a lot of this has to do with how the stock market behaves. If the stock market is roaring back like it is today, Bitcoin's going to go higher. If we see the stock market start to collapse and break that wedge pattern that I've been talking about, then I would almost, not guarantee, but I would expect Bitcoin to roll over as well. All right, so again, just keep that in mind. That is your next technical level on Bitcoin. All right.
Bitcoin broke above a long-term upward sloping trend line, though confirmation was pending. Another resistance point loomed around $52,500. Additionally, Bitcoin's trajectory could be influenced by the stock market's performance, particularly if a risk-off sentiment prevails, potentially causing Bitcoin to reverse its course.
I want to look at Ethereum because Ethereum is tagging a target that I gave you guys literally just a couple days ago. In fact, I've been talking about this one. You guys will remember it if you follow me on a daily basis. We know we had this parallel zone in here where priced, it went above, and I'm going to change my color here because, again, we need to have a little bit of a brighter color on this. So we went up here, down, up, we broke out, then we came back in and we kind of hovered in. But now once we broke above here, where did I say your next resistance was going to be, right? We talked about this line right up here, which mirrors this. And if you go back, this is that much bigger channel within the Ethereum chart. So Ethereum is actually hitting resistance today at around 27.75. By the way, it doesn't mean that Ethereum can't get through this. You just have to respect it. Just say, okay, let's watch and see what happens. If there's going to be a point where Ethereum pulls back, this would be a point. If it breaks through this, you're talking $3,000 on Ethereum, all right? And we talked about this even back when the spot Bitcoin ETF was approved, how ultimately that could be a positive since maybe the spot Ethereum ETF could be approved. That narrative's kind of gone by the wayside, but don't be surprised if it doesn't reemerge if we break through this 27.75 level on Ethereum.
The focus shifts to Ethereum and the potential ramifications of a spot ETF approval. Ethereum had already hit the resistance barrier at $2,775. If Ethereum manages to surpass this level, it could potentially target $3,000 on the upside. Moreover, the approval of a spot Bitcoin ETF could serve as a favorable catalyst for Ethereum, potentially enhancing the likelihood of approval for a spot Ethereum ETF.
But basically what we have here on Cardano, You have a downsloping trend line from this recent high here, 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 here. Notice the breakout clear as day. Right there was your breakout, and it's continued to move up. This is going to be, though, we're starting to get in. So look at how you kind of have a general trend line right through here, right? So again, if we look at this, we kind of chopped here, right along here. We then broke down. Then this became resistance, and it's kind of into that thing. So just like Ethereum is back into its resistance, Cardano is back into its short-term resistance here at around 57 to 58 cents. If it can break through 58 cents, then it can reattack this level around 66 to 67 cents, and that will be your short-term next resistance. But again, contingent on getting through this 58 cent level on Cardano. So again, on gold, we continue to see some weakness. Yesterday, we did see a drop, but one of the things I want to point out here on the gold chart is that, again, as I said, it's all about time frame. The short-term time frame has turned down on gold, right? You've had a short-term wedge breakdown, but the bigger time frame on gold, all right, if we look at the bigger picture, we still have this area to this area, which is going to be major support here. We also have this level at 1775, as well as this level right in here. This is kind of the daily chart. One of the lessons of today's game plan is that not only do you want to look at the daily chart, but you also want to take a look at the bigger. So we talked about the short term being bearish, right? So the short term pattern is bearish on this. But what if we go to the weekly chart and then obviously the monthly chart? So if we look at the weekly, in fact, we could just look at the weekly. That's even fine and dandy. So if we look at the weekly chart here, here's your short-term breakdown, but look at the bigger picture here. What do you have? You have a flag pattern here, right? Which is all bullish consolidation here, right? So again, shorter term is okay. That's meant for swing traders or short-term traders. What you want to be aware of is if you're someone who says, hey, I'm going to hold for 6 months, or I have a bigger macro view like me on gold, for me, what I'm focusing on is the bigger picture here on this chart of gold. In addition, obviously, we know, I've talked about this before, bear with me as I get my trend tool back up here. This is that inverse head and shoulders, which I still think, again, breaks out with a target price upwards of $2,500 when it does break out. So it's a good lesson to understand is that the short term can create fear, but ultimately you need to, as an investor, figure out what is your time horizon on a trade. Is it a long-term trade you're holding for over a year? Is it 6 to 12 months? Or is it a short-term trade? Like as a short-term trader, if you're just trading for the next 3 days or so, that breakdown here on gold, great short, right? It broke the little wedge. So in the short term, you could be short. But if you're someone who says, my bigger picture is what I'm looking at because my time horizon's longer, then the bigger picture is still unbelievably bullish.
For more daily dose crypto news, check out these 2 awesome videos on your screen. Click now and we will see you on the next video.